Hello, good afternoon. It is 2:22, May the 8th, about 85 degrees here in northern New Jersey. It's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. It's sunny outside, and there doesn't seem to be very much humidity in the air, which is always nice because you need the humidity, but when there's no rain and sometimes it just makes for multiple showers a day. You know what I'm saying? Like more than you might otherwise need to take. But you know what I'm saying? I'm feeling pretty good. We got a stream coming later this evening. That we gonna do. We're gonna be talking about King George. King George. We're gonna talk about King George the Third. He lived an interesting life. He definitely did. I'm sure you've heard of him. But we're gonna take a deep dive into his like over 50-year reign. He was on the throne for like I think 60 years or something like that. And the world changed quite a bit while he was on the throne too. Like that's when the world went through the industrial revolution. Well, when it started, for the most part, a lot changed. Capitalism really started to take off in a modern, familiar sense. And also, King George III had suffered from bipolar disorder. So he would go through periods, especially whenever stuff got rough in his life, like where he would just lose it. So we're gonna talk a lot about that. Hold on, we got ooh, my allergies, sorry. They're going a little crazy, but nothing too bad. Distracted Garden, Queen Fritz, Amera, you don't like my music. What's going on? How's everybody doing today? But yeah, no, I'm nice and chill. I'm in a nice chill mood, but the energy is not low, and I'm sure you definitely gonna see. But no, I'm feeling pretty good. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about King George III later on today, tonight rather. I did my laundry. As you can see, I have on regular people clothes right now. I did my laundry yesterday, got that out the way. And yeah, yeah. Now we ready to rock. So let's see where we gonna start today. Okay. What we got pulled up? Hmm. All right, let's see what all Trump is selling because he's out here selling everything. And two, it's looking like now it's definitely not going to be a situation where he gets a bunch of convictions before election day. That's not going to happen. Perhaps with the Stormy Daniels trial, but other than that, pretty much everything else has gotten postponed. Some of it indefinitely, and which means the Biden campaign is going to have to try more. They're going to have to put in a little more effort. Also, um, from what I saw, it seemed like Stormy Daniels' testimony was kind of like, like it was kind of nice and juicy for the MSNBCs of the world, like in terms of some of the stuff that she mentioned, but it seemed like it was kind of irrelevant to the case. So regardless, the Stormy Daniels case is not the one that holds the most weight in terms of like what would sway independent voters. But we're gonna see what's up. Alonzo, what's going on, brother? How you doing? But we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's see what all let's see what all he's pushing. I wonder, I mean, I would feel terrible to have a single one of my dollars go towards this man's cause, but it would be hilarious to have a pair of Trump sneakers just like somewhere in the attic or somewhere in a case 20, 30, 40 years from now, just to look back at the time and remember like how ridiculous it was. And how ridiculous it will still yet become because we certainly are not finished with this. We got Sigourney. Hey, how you doing today? How are you doing this afternoon? It's a beautiful afternoon here. All right, so let's see. We don't really need to necessarily read all this word for word. Okay, so this is talking. My bad. I was looking at a notification I got. It says President Ulysses S. Grant's widow, Julia Grant, made $450,000 off of the memoirs that he penned shortly before his death. More recent former presidents have found other avenues beyond just book sales. Gerald Ford is regarded for kickstarting the trend of serving on corporate boards after the accidental president accepted seats from blue chip companies like 20th Century Fox and American Express. Ronald Reagan caused a stir when he accepted $2 million for a series of appearances in Japan. Bill Clinton later electrified the speaking fees trend. Oh yeah, they made big dollars off of that. It's estimated that he and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton amassed a staggering $100 million fortune after she left office. Not to be outdone, Netflix reportedly paid Barack and Michelle Obama into the high eight figures. As President George W. Bush explained his approach upon leaving office, it was time to, quote, replenish the old coffers. Such a George W. Bush thing to say. You know, his presidency was just awful. It was so bad. George W. Bush's presidency was honestly worse than Trump's. I mean, in my opinion, it wasn't good. But you know, it's somewhat a George Bush thing to say. After I leave office, it's time to replenish the old coffers. Like he was just a dumb, good old boy. Like that's really what he was. He was just one of the good old boys who just never should have been president. Like he never should have been in that seat whatsoever. Regardless, while he was there, Dick Cheney was running the show anyway. But now watch this drive. Like he's just such an unserious guy. And you know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't even necessarily feel as much animosity towards him if he just never became president. Like if he would have just rode off into the sunset and done his own thing, because money certainly is not an issue for the Bush family. It was time to replenish the old coffers. I don't know what my dad gets. Bush told journalist Robert Draper, but it's more than 50, $75,000 a speech, he added. Clinton's making a lot of money. Congress once feared former presidents living in I'm just laughing because Republicans love just dumb white guys. Like they love it. They love it. Oh, he's an idiot. That's my guy. From George W. Bush to to Donald Trump. It's incredible. Congress once feared former presidents living in destitution. Former President Harry Truman personally wrote to key members of Congress after he left office that he might have to resort to taking welfare. After Truman's lobbying, lawmakers passed financial support for former presidents that continues to this day. Pretty much every president that's been in office is wealthy, was wealthy, is wealthy now, but most of them were wealthy before they got in there. Here's how Trump is trying to make some extra money in 2024. Truth Social immediately bombed because like 60% of everything that happens on the site is just Donald Trump ranting into the ether. Ariola, what's going on? How you doing today? It's a beautiful day up here in northern New Jersey. 85 degrees, partly sunny, low humidity. It's a perfect day to just kind of take a walk, have the windows open, all of that. Okay, so we got True Social, which again ain't worth nothing. And then we got the Bibles. Hold on, yeah, here we go with the Trump Bibles that he tried to do. The $60 Bible that has I think it has like the US Constitution and like the Pledge of Allegiance and like, you know, all those good old American tokens of patriotism included because, you know, that's what Jesus is all about. America. He predicted it thousands of years before it happened. He was like, America's going to be my chosen land. And then he, you know, hopped and skipped on over to Joseph Smith's dreams and kabam, the Church of Latter-day Saints was born. I'm just joking, of course. Okay, so we got the $60 Bibles. God bless the USA. Oh yeah, and they got the handwritten course because of course, you got to have that in there. God loves him some Lee Greenwood. I don't even know who that is, but okay, so yep, see, we got the US Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. All so that those dollar bills can go into the coffers of Donald Trump because that's what Jesus would want. If Jesus was still alive on earth today, if he was still around upon his second coming, upon his return, he's gonna be like, Donald Trump, that's my guy. He gonna be like, give me a pair of them. Nah, he ain't gonna have to ask. It's Jesus. He just gonna snap his fingers, and he gonna have a pair of Oakley shades and some Donald Trump tennis shoes on his feet with a toga. He gonna wear his toga because you gotta identify him. These people are so goofy. Like their version of Jesus is just their version of Jesus is like a caricature of Republican Jesus. We got Snicks in the building. What's going on? How you doing? We got Virginia. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Yeah, I mean these people are just these people are just so ridiculous. Oh yeah, we got the NFTs. He looks like a clown right here because well he is a clown, but so that's very fitting. He looks like he's at the circus. And then of course we have I don't know if I doubt it's gonna show him on this page, but we had Cowboy Trump, Astronaut Trump, you know, chiseled Gladiator Trump. We had everything. Chad Thundercock Trump. Everything you could possibly imagine. We had it. Cologne and perfume. Oh, what's that gonna smell? What's that? I got jupe in my mind, but I doubt it. I don't know what it's gonna smell like. It's gonna be some type of notable elder gentleman, elder gentleman flavor. The aroma of a noble elder gentleman. Okay, so what? Victory 47. What I have in my mind of Donald Trump's cologne is like an Axe spray bottle. Y'all remember them? Y'all remember the Axe spray bottles are just a you just get out of the shower like, oh, I got big old spray bottles looking like you about to go clean some windows, like you cleaning up the mirrors in your bathroom or something like that cheap ass cologne. That's why they give it to you in a spray bottle because that shit gonna wear off in 5 minutes. You can only smell it for 2 minutes, 3.5 minutes, and the half life is kicked in. Big ass, big ass spray bottle of Axe just. You know what I mean? That's what I that is exactly what I have imagined when I think of Trump's Victory 47 cologne. Okay. What we got now? Oh, we talked some about this when we had Annie on the channel about how qualifying for benefits can keep you in limbo in so many different ways. Like you may know for a fact that you can't afford, like all the necessities like healthcare, all the other insurance that you have to pay. Like if you have a vehicle, got having to pay insurance on that, the bills on that. If you don't own it outright, the car notes, whatever the lease is, plus your rent or your mortgage, and whatever else you paying for. Like if you aren't able to like make tens of thousands of extra dollars, then you may have to be stuck making very little so you can qualify for certain benefits. Um, and so, it can come down to something as little as this, like $100. Like what, like in today's economy, what is $100 really going to do for you? I mean, it can feed you for several days. Like $100 can do stuff for you, but not if you really got to do something. Not if you got something real to pay for. Like $100 just ain't gonna go nowhere for you. So Let's go over this. A Gen Xer struggles to afford housing and groceries, but her income is about $100 too high to get help. Melinda Binkley. Okay. Melinda Binkley, 56, has tried to apply for safety net programs before, like SNAP, but she's told her household makes too much money, usually by less than $100. Quote, I go through all that legwork and I get everything that's on the application. Then within days, they are either emailing me or calling saying you're too high. I feel like it wastes my time, which of course can discourage people from continuing to pursue it. Binkley lives in Stillwater, Minnesota, and says she receives around $1,500 a month in supplemental security income benefits. She doesn't currently work due to medical reasons, but has in the past. She estimates her husband brings home under $4,000 a month from his job at a medical supply company, but his income varies because he has health issues and is not always able to work a full time schedule. The couple is a part of a growing number of Americans who live above the federal poverty line but struggle to afford basic necessities. The poverty line isn't adjusted to reflect cost of living differences in individual cities or states and is set at $20,440 a year for a family of two. So, again, obviously, this highlights several very important issues. One being that um, the amount of stagnation within the political process in the country, how much doesn't get done because keeping up with the cost of living, keeping up with inflation, staying on top of these types of things is what the government inherently is supposed to do. Obviously, you have things like defense, the government is supposed to defend the nation and do things like make sure that public access to water and food is safe. Generally speaking, the government's job is to help people be safe more than they would if they were just out here on their own. Like you have licenses. You're less likely to get scammed if your government is intact because you have to have permits and licenses to do things. You have a well functioning law system. You're able to sue people. You're able to stand up for yourself. um you know it's much less likely for people to commit violent crime than it would be if people knew they could just get away with stuff. When you got stuff to lose, you're less likely to go harm someone physically because don't nobody want to be in jail or prison. You got all of this type of stuff. So clearly when corruption gets in the way, it doesn't stay on top of that because this is a no-brainer that every year things get more expensive for the majority of people. So, um, and also too, this is also an indictment on corporate America. Uh, like how many people, um, my bad. I was reading the comments and my mind split for a second. Um, but yeah, the staggering amount of money that executives have access to, especially through stock market packages, through things like that, golden parachutes, giant companies that should go belly under, that should fail, aren't because the government comes and rescues them because all the corrupt corporate dollars that goes through the process. Not allowing capitalism to truly work as it should. Power working as power does, protecting the powerful. You know what I'm saying? How many tens of thousands of people have been laid off just so that that same company can buy their own stock to artificially inflate it? So it's really quite simple, which is good actually. It's good because it means that it's easy to sell the progressive message. It's one that everybody pretty much can relate to. Um, and it's our time to shine. It's our time to get more progressive candidates through the doors. And I have faith that we're gonna do it with perseverance, generally speaking. About 29% of US households are now Alice's, people who are asset limited, income constrained, and employed. This compares to 13% of Americans who live below the federal poverty level, according to the Census Bureau's American Community Survey data and cost of living estimates analyzed by United Ways, United for Alice's program. Quote, there's nothing in between that allows people to get assistance for help of any sort, Brinkley said, referring to the gap between the poverty line and middle class. We always tend to fall right in that part of the economy. Binkley is trying to make ends meet. She's trying to get up out of there. And again, you know how difficult it can be to move. Moving period is expensive. Even if you make decent money, I mean, you might have a lot of stuff that you aren't going to bring with you to your next place. You may have to store things, actually having to move, the down payments that you have to make, the security deposits, like you got to come off a whole lot of money just to move. Security deposit plus the first month's rent plus this plus that, and then waiting lists to get into government subsidy housing. You could be on that waiting list for years. You could be on there for years. And here we go. Primarily, Bankley said she struggles with her rent and utility bills, which is, again, pretty much everybody, which highlights, again, the simplicity of the solutions. The problems are simple. That doesn't mean that every solution is simple, but, you know, re- restructuring how money flows through the corporate system is a very easy place to start. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why companies like McDonald's and Walmart can't pay people $15 or maybe a little more than that an hour. There's no reason they can't do that. Oh, we can't afford to do that. Yeah, you can. You might have to shut down. Maybe you don't need four super centers in the same small town. One might be enough. You may be cool with just having one super center in a town, and then you can afford to pay people a little bit more. Stuff like that. There's no reason why that can't happen. There's no reason why we can't change up the finance laws in the stock market that just allow financiers to fuck people, by purchasing their own stocks at the expense of people's jobs and livelihoods and getting bailed out when they don't deserve it. You know, things like that. Easy place to start. We got Twin Dragon in the building. What's going on? That's a good rule. That's a good rule. And two, like unless it's something that you're gonna get out of storage like pretty quick, like maybe you're just putting something in there for a couple weeks while you maybe paint a room or something like that. Yeah, I mean that's a good indication that you don't need it. So yeah, that is a good rule of thumb. If you got to have something sitting in storage, you probably don't need it. Um, but yeah, no, rent and utility is something that just consecutively consistently goes up. Binkley said extreme temperatures in Minnesota and limited insulation in her home also mean she can pay almost $5,000 annually in electricity bills to keep the heat on. And then it can be reversed that if like you got the AC on all summer long or something like that, because don't nobody want to just be up sweating and gross all day. People could tolerate that a little bit, but at some point, you're gonna want to turn that AC on. So yeah, no. I mean, again, this hits pretty much everybody. And also, too, I think that this highlights the reality that, you know, most people need government subsidies, need assistance, maybe only for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like if I know that maybe I can have Medicaid for a year, that can make the biggest difference on earth. But if $100, a couple $100 is the deciding factor for me being able to have Medicaid, like relatively free healthcare, taxpayer paid healthcare for a year. That can make such a huge difference in my life. And unfortunately, people, well, I mean, I don't even know. Like, because I was about to say, unfortunately, corruption in corporate America doesn't see it that way, but they do see it that way because they wouldn't be able to kick their feet up and just have all these capital gains for the sake of it if they didn't rig the system, because they know if you give people somewhat of a leg up like they get endlessly, they're more likely to climb the economic ladder. Most people don't even have the majority, sure, like if people could snap their fingers and be rich, like, yeah, sure, pretty much anybody would say, yeah, I'd like that. But I've come to find that most people aren't particularly driven to be rich. Like most people aren't like, oh, I want to be a gajillionaire. Like, like if people can have their needs met pretty simply, like they can eat, not just eat, but eat well, like maybe go on a couple of vacations, one or two vacations a year. Like, how many people would be so satisfied with that? Because I mean, like, you really don't need that much to feel good. You could go through periods where you're really depressed more than you would be just because you can't afford to be outside that much. And then the next year you could be way more happy because you had a car and you were able to go do stuff. Like, in fact, people really don't need that much to be happy. It's when people can't pay their bills and like they're stressed out about if they can afford healthcare. That's the shit that it wears on people. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's a difference between something bad happening and then you having to deal with something for a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just very greedy people rigging the system. I have to have all the money. I have to have it all. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really all it is. Exactly. Like you know how cool, how, I mean, like we all struggle, but do you understand how much less I would suffer mentally if I could just do things like, again, generally speaking, stuff's fine. So I'm not saying this like, oh, I can't handle it. But I'm telling you, sometimes the only difference will be like, oh, today I had a really nice conversation with somebody while I was outside. I was walking and we stopped and we talked about, their dog, and we just talked for a little bit. And and then that can make you feel amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just interesting how that works. All right. I mean, think about like if you're really bored and you ain't got nothing to do, that shit might wear on you. But if you're in the house and you're bored, but you got some weed to smoke and maybe some good ice cream to eat, you got a bunch of snacks, you're good. You're not people don't need that much, man. And most people don't want that much. Although Binkley is enrolled in Medicare and her husband gets a basic health care plan through work, she estimates they pay at least $350 a month out of pocket for medications. See, man, like that's a lot of money. And for them, they gotta pay it, like they have healthcare issues that makes it such that they have to do it. But $350 every month, that's a lot of money. It's a whole lot more money than, oh, you're $98 above the poverty line, so you can't do this. But they got, 350 plus dollar expenses that they got to shell out every month just so that they aren't totally miserable. Essentially, that's all. That's what it is. Like, in order for them to not be in agony. Because again, like I say, I can survive without the medication I take. I'll be all right. But for a lot of people, that they ain't gonna be good. My husband will go without his meds, especially the more expensive ones. He will go without to make sure that I have mine, and I don't like that. Of course, like you would naturally people try to make sacrifices for each other, but like you're gonna feel guilty. Like it's not like like that type of stuff is hard to deal with. Shit like this, man, stuff like this, it can end relationships. Like this is the type of real life shit that can break up families. Obviously, like that doesn't always happen, and there's so many different reasons why people do or don't stay together. But stuff like this can do it, man. Like stress, the stress of it all can just change you. It just turns you into somebody who isn't receptive to the joys and the thrills of life because you're too down low. You know, that type of shit can rip people apart. Like when we first got together, we had so much fun, but now we don't because we're miserable. You said you didn't have my pain medicine for a week and I gained 7 pounds and became really rude. Them withdrawals was going ham. Right, be like, "Oh shit, I ain't got my opioids today. I'm just gonna go around being an asshole and I'm just gonna wear a sign. Don't have my opioids. Don't take it personally." You just go around with wearing a barrel. You ain't got nothing but a barrel on that says "off my meds." That's funny as hell. But yeah, no, this is a story. I mean, honestly, like this is in a month or two, I'll hit up and see if I still got health insurance, but I probably won't because I ain't been paying for it because I want some money. You know what I'm saying? Like overall, I'm 32 and I'm healthy, and like if I got to, I can get health insurance next year. But like, I'm not about to be out here with no money at all. Nah, nah, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just the financial system is so fucked. Everybody's in debt. Right, exactly. Just get a stack of business cards made. You just pass them out to people while you just fuck shit up. You go into a Target and you can't find what you want, so you just start knocking shit off the shelves, and then you just pass out business cards to everybody. Or you have an attorney that just follows you around. Call this number if he pisses you off. Okay, this is hilarious. This is hilarious right here. New York court allows Trump to attend son Barron's graduation, only for him to do something else instead. This is hilarious because he was just whining and complaining that he couldn't be at his son's graduation. I'm gonna go do something else. He's so mm, like how can you brown nose to someone like this endlessly? Like, oh, he's such a joke, but it's so hilarious. He said, "Nah, fuck that. Fuck my son. Fuck my son's graduation. I'm finna go do something for me today." He comes walking out of the courtroom. Bro, this dude is hilarious. He just comes storming out of the courtroom to lambast the people who have his future in their hands.
What do you think of Stormy's testimony?
So this was a very big day, a very revealing day. As you see, their case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that
Right. Barron was probably like, oh shit, I get to see my dad today. No, actually, Barron probably has long accepted that his dad ain't shit. And he's autistic, so he probably extra longed and just understood it. You know what I'm saying? Like Barron has understood from a very, very early age that his daddy ain't shit. You know, it was much easier for him to accept that than most other people. But that's funny as hell, though. On the off chance he was surprised, and I say that too, because anytime you see Barron next to his dad, he just looks totally uninterested. He's like, "Well, here I am with this dude." He was like, "Okay, I'll see you later, son." And then he's like, "Hey, you coming today?" Like, "Nah, fuck you."
That should bear very little relationship to the case. It's just a disaster for the DA. I should be out campaigning right now. We're leading in all the polls. I'd like to be campaigning. We'll be leading by a lot more. It's a disgrace. In the meantime, I'm stuck. I'm here. Instead of being in Georgia, instead of being in New Hampshire, instead of being in Wisconsin, and all the different states that we wanted to be in, we're not able to be there because we're stuck in this trial, which everyone knows is a hoax.
Everyone knows is a hoax. Okay, so what was he doing now? Despite Trump previously warning he was never coming back to the US state if voted for current President Joe Biden in 2020, which he did. Okay, so he said, "We're thrilled to welcome President Trump back to Minnesota. I can think of no one more fitting to join us this year than President Trump. If we're talking logistics, then Barron's graduation ceremony at Oxbridge Academy on Florida's West Palm Beach is scheduled to start from 10 a.m. Eastern Time on that same day. Trump then has a 3 hour and 45 minutes or so flight ahead of him to get him to St. Paul, though it's not clear when the fundraising dinner will get underway." He's just not going to go. Trump plans to attend a fundraiser on the day of Barron's graduation. Wonder what Judge Merchant thinks when he sees this. Donald Trump is the funniest man ever, without even trying to be. He said, "Fuck my son." Look at this drawing of him in court. That's exactly who he is. That's who he is in a nutshell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Barron is autistic. I think he is, if I recall correctly. I may be wrong about that, but I think he is. Um, but this is exactly who he is. He always ready to scam your ass, but he's but he can't even hide it. This is oh my god, this man. Again, but of course. All right, let's see what's up. Georgia appeals court hands Trump massive win with Fani Willis ruling. Donald Trump just won big with this decision in his Georgia 2020 election case. Donald Trump just got some good news on another legal front. A Georgia appeals court has agreed to review the decision to keep Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis on the RICO prosecution against Trump in his Georgia election interference case. That criminal trial charges Trump and more than a dozen of his associates with trying to steal Georgia's 2020 election from the candidate that actually won the majority of votes, Joe Biden. Now, with Tuesday's election from the appeals court, it's not clear when the case will actually go to trial. This is a huge win for Trump, who had appealed a lower. Yes, he was. He don't. Donald Trump don't care how many. He don't care how many times it takes. He don't care how bad he looks. I'm gonna appeal until I get something. which is so funny because it's like that's what his whole campaign is about. Like he's just trying to win the presidency before he has to face the music for any of these things. Willis was allowed to remain on the Georgia RICO case after she was accused of hiring special prosecutor Nathan Wade, a man she had a relationship with and who billed her office and taxpayers more than $728,000 in legal fees for personal financial gain. The couple was also accused of taking several international vacations together that were allegedly partially bankrolled by public funds. However, after weeks of intense questioning, a Georgia judge ruled in March that Willis would be allowed to continue prosecuting Trump so long as Wade took the fall. In a letter submitted to the attorney's office filing, Wade wrote that his leave, effective immediately, was in the interest of democracy and to move the case forward as quickly as possible. But yeah, so again, now especially with this, because that was really one of the more juicier, criminal trials for Donald Trump. This Stormy Daniels trial is not uh about the fabric of democracy in the country. Not that it isn't important, but it isn't on the level of the Georgia case. So again, the Biden campaign is really going to have to they can't rely on that now, which they clearly were relying on. You're like, oh well, polls show that independents are going to vote for Donald Trump if he gets convicted of one of these Georgia crimes. But I don't know why I just gave Joe Biden a southern draw because he doesn't have one. But it's not looking like that's gonna happen before before November. So yeah, no, this Georgia case definitely uh got bungled. It definitely was a big mess that was made out of it. Okay, so let's see what's up with this right quick. I've seen some people say that perhaps Donald Trump wants to go to prison so that he can be like a sacrificial lamb. Maybe, I don't know. But nah, man. I mean, nobody wants to go to jail. And I can't imagine man, if he went to jail, I can't imagine him actually like wanting to be there. I think he's just I think he's just so stupid that he can't help himself. See Judge Merchant's blistering full confrontation with Trump as he threatened to throw him in jail for contempt. Trump is currently on trial in Lower Manhattan for a hush money scheme to pay off adult film star Stormy Daniels. Merchant said in his ruling, quote, "It appears that the $1,000 fines are not serving as a deterrent. Therefore, going forward, this court will have to consider a jail sanction if recommended. Mr. Trump, it's important to understand that the last thing I want to do is put you in jail," Merchant added. Quote, "You are the former president of the United States and possibly the next president as well," after referencing many reasons why incarceration is truly a last resort and, quote, broader implications of such a sanction. Merchant landed on protect the dignity of the judicial system and compel respect. Your continued violations of this court's lawful order threaten to interfere with the administration of justice. Constant attacks, which constitute a direct attack on the rule of law, cannot allow that to continue. That's basically it. That's basically what he said. Um, again, look at Trump. He looks like he's going through what he's going through. He looks like he's going through exactly what it is. But yeah, I agree. I think he's just out of his mind. And at the end of the day, he's going through a lot. He has so much going on at one time. And there's no way that anybody really can handle this that well, but he really ain't handling it well. He's publicly handling it through Truth Social and all of that. But if he went to jail, I mean, obviously that would gin up his base. I don't think that would do anything for independence. That wouldn't help him with people he needs help with. But I don't really see any benefit of him going to jail. I think he's just suffering from being himself. He can't shut up. I think that's all it is. He's just suffering from being himself. Yes, because Donald Trump believes that the body is like a battery and there's only so much energy inside of you. So you shouldn't work out. Like, dude, what? By that logic, you shouldn't move. You should just never move. You shouldn't dance. You shouldn't go for walks. You just shouldn't do anything. But yeah, if Trump went to prison, I mean, well, let me stop saying prison because that's different. If he went to jail, when he came out, oh my god, the ranting and the raving he would do would be legendary even for him. Okay, so we got, oh my goodness. We got Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a dead heat tie. We got them in a dead heat tie. Biden campaign launches for, I said that because of this right here. The polling average based on 686 polls. Hold on. Okay, no, that's not. I was getting a breaking news, but it's not one that's important. 44.8 to 44.8%. They're in a dead heat tie. Biden campaign launches $14 million May ad buy focused on Black, Latino, and Asian American voters. I think a couple of months ago, was it March? He did like a $30 million ad buy, something like that. Again, obviously Biden is in a tough spot, but I think the Democratic Party at large is in a good spot. Um, a lot needs to be focused on, but really, the abortion issue is gonna continue. I think that trend is gonna continue, and not even just that. Also, we can't forget that there's going to continuously be people who are Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z ongoing from now forward running for office at every level because we're of age now. We're like everyone in Gen X through Gen Z pretty much is an adult. Like 40s down to mid 20s. That's pretty much that age range. Or like 50s down to that age range. And there's going to be more and more of those people running. So I think that man, it's I don't even know what to say, like, because Biden clearly is not doing what he needs to do with the youth vote. I don't know, man. It looks like they're just going to continue to hope and pray that Donald Trump screws it up for himself, which of course he may do. Um, let's see. Yeah, exactly, Aaron. It's just kind of like one of those things that time always wins out. The cycle of life can't be stopped. Which is, I think, the ultimate silver lining for everybody. If not who, why not? If not you, then who? Maybe your friend, maybe your family member. President Biden's reelection campaign launched a $14 million. Okay, I'm just trying to see what it is that they're gonna do. Okay, so they have 500 staff, 200 offices in the states open by the end of May. Again, I think across the board, even the Biden campaign, I expect the Biden campaign to do really well on the abortion issue. Um, but it's everything else, you know what I'm saying? That we just have to wait and see. But I would be surprised if we don't see really good campaigning on abortion from the Biden administration. Okay, so they got $192 million in cash on hand. That's a lot of money because it's still relatively early in the scheme of things. I mean, you're not necessarily always going to have your coffers loaded like that. But um right, dude. Hey, not everybody among us is gonna make good change, because there's definitely gonna be crazy ones among us who get in office too. But that's why we got to keep our foot on the gas, because typically speaking, it seems that the extremists and the radicals are the ones who are the most involved for a lot of reasons. A lot of it being they ain't got shit else to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, oftentimes when people are really, really radicalized, it's because ain't nothing else going on. Like, otherwise, if you had other areas to put your mental and emotional and physical energy, you wouldn't have time to be an extremist with anything. Um, yeah, again, here it was $30 million for a 6-week ad buy in March. I mean, we'll see what happens, because Trump had been up, and if this is their average now, then I mean, it's obviously margin of error. So, um, it continues to be a day by day thing, because Trump still can fuck this up for himself. He really can. Um, Not just with his actions, but even like with his rhetoric, like the way that he's approaching abortion, or at least the way that he has recently. If he doesn't back off of that, like taking credit for the reversal of Roe and saying, "Oh, it made everything easier, and this is what people wanted." If he doesn't back off of that, that again, will that kill his campaign? No, but it's not going to help it. So I think it's real. It's real. I think it's really this close. Like, I think it's really that close. Um. All right. So we got what we got Trump talking about. Um, like, it's just like this shit could go so many ways. Cause like, even if like, I think it's pretty clear that, I mean, the youth is not going to come out in droves for Biden. I mean, that's not going to happen. But if the youth stays home and votes, but a bunch of people still stay home and don't vote for Trump, then it's still like, it still breaks even. Like, it's like, no matter which way you look at it, these guys are tied, because there's like an equal amount of people who, at the end of the day, probably aren't going to actually go vote for either of these people. It's going to be a lot of people that just don't vote in this election. It's definitely ain't going to be as many people as voted last time. But like, it's incredible. Oh, yep, I got the Capri Sun, because I got the water too. I got my water right here, but you gotta um you gotta keep some juice with you, because water doesn't get rid of the cotton mouth. It just doesn't work. All right, what does Trump have to say about his gag orders? Uh, like it's just gonna be a bunch of people who just don't go to the polls, like at all. When did he post this? He posted this today at 8:17 in the morning. He posted this a few hours ago. Oh God.
It is a real it is a really bad feeling to have your constitutional right to free speech, such a big part of life in our country, so unfairly taken from you, especially when all of the sleazebags, lowlives, and grifters that you oppose are allowed to say absolutely anything that they want. It is hard to sit back and listen to lies and false statements be made against you, knowing that if you respond, even in the most modest fashion, you are told by a corrupt and highly conflicted judge that you will be put in prison. Put in prison! Maybe for a long period of time. This fascist mindset is all coming from DC. It is a sophisticated hit job on crooked Joe Biden's political opponent, me. Judges Engoron and Kaplan, also of New York, are equally corrupt, only in different ways. What these thugs are doing is an attack on the Republican Party and our once great nation itself. Our First Amendment must stand, free and strong. Give me liberty or give me death.
Bro, this dude is out of his mind. Man, if this dude becomes no, God, no. If he becomes president again, it is going to be the most annoying thing in history. Oh my God. Oh. Uh, like, and I think this is is this what we just watched? No, this was yesterday.
So this was a very big day, a very revealing day. As you see, their case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that should bear very little relationship to the case. It's just a disaster for the
Right. He shouted it into his phone, and there's a button that he can press for it to when he wants the letters to be capitalized. He got that speech to text button, and he got another button that he can press to make it all caps.
DA, for the Soros backed DA. It's a disaster. This whole case is just a disaster. If you read the legal scholars, you'll see, because they're writing about it, they've never seen anything quite like it. And neither have I. I should be out campaigning right now. We're leading in all the polls. I'd like to be campaigning. We'll be leading by a lot more. But I just want to appreciate the job you're doing. It's not easy standing there all day. I do from the standpoint of
3 whole minutes later.
Greg Jarrett, Mark Levin, very talented people, and others.
Mark Levin, very, very talented people. Mark Levin is out of his damn mind. He'd be screaming and shouting. The Democratic Party hates America. I think that's one of his books that he wrote. Like it's titled "Why the Democrat Party Hates America." This is funny, right? Trump loses it in unhinged nighttime rant. Cable news host.
I spotted ratings challenge Lawrence O'Donnell of MSDNC in the courthouse today. I haven't seen him in years. He looks like shit. A real loser.
Donald J. Trump. It's just amazing. He looks like shit. Donald Trump is one of a kind, man. This dude is amazing. Okay. What we got now? What do we have here? GOP rep stuns Fox host with truth about who's to blame for the border. I thought there should, yeah, I was saying there should be a video here. Oh, yeah, we got it. We have to go to X. We have to go to X. We're going to go there real quick. We're going to travel there. We're going to make the journey over to X.
Then, Congressman, I mean, why can't you actually move the needle on securing the border? I understand you need a willing partner on the other side, and you haven't had that. But it's frustrating to see all of these illegals coming in and the drugs flowing in, and really no movement.
The problem is the Republicans, not the Democrats. We know how the Democrats are going to vote. It's too many of my Republican colleagues are unwilling to vote to secure the border.
Yeah. So what's wrong with?
Well, there you have it. There you have it. We don't really care about this issue. Our voters might, but we don't. Essentially, is what he had to say. Okay, let's see what this is right here. Okay, I am curious right now to know what the rules are for these marathons and why he got disqualified for something like this. Marathon winner disqualified for accepting drink of water from his dad during race. I don't why would that be? Maybe does the drink have like unfair electrolytes in it or something? I don't know. I have no clue. Esteban Prado won the Orange County Marathon by 17 seconds. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big gap.
We're hearing from the man who was disqualified after winning the Orange County Marathon over the weekend. As Orange
Yo, that would suck because I have personally never ran that far without. I've ran a lot in my life. I have run a lot. I've actually ran more than the total circumference of planet Earth. I have done that. Not in one time, obviously, over years and years and years. But a marathon, 26 point something miles, like my legs would fall off. Like, not like I'm a big dude, but even period, like, man, that's a few hours of nonstop running if you're in good shape. Like that's a big thing. That would suck.
County reporter David Gonzalez shows us he seems to be taking the news in stride, but one thing is for sure, he won't make that same mistake twice.
You got this, Esteban. Good job.
It was a test of physical and mental toughness for Esteban Prado.
I've been training for the marathon for just about like.
And again, too, that's whack because, like I said, like to win the marathon by 17 seconds, he won. Like he earned that shit. Like this dude trains for this all year, like all year long. This dude is training to run this far. Like that's a big deal. Like
3 months to 4 months, like build up. This is my second full marathon.
The 24-year-old from Fountain Valley conquered the OC Marathon on Sunday with the 5:29 pace, but his first place finish was short-lived after being disqualified.
I got like a call from the race director stating that, a competitor saw that you got like water bottles throughout the field. And I mean, the only person that could see me within range was second place. So
in a statement, OC Marathon officials say, during yesterday's Hogue OC Marathon, we were forced to disqualify a participant after it was confirmed they received unauthorized assistance from an individual on a bicycle in violation of USA track and field rules and our race regulations. We take these rules seriously to ensure fairness and the integrity of our event for all competitors. Prado knew elite athletes would have access to aid stations, but was unaware of rules about taking water from spectators.
Whenever I got to these stations, the volunteers were like scrambling because, I mean, I'm the only runner inside. So they could barely see me like at certain turns. Like, I don't want to argue over something that's like 15 minutes away from you. You get like no money or anything. So, if he wanted that congratulations, like for that first place, if he really felt like he needed it, it's just for him at the end of the day. really got nothing out of it. I know I won, so.
Prado won't be able to use his finishing time from.
Well, I mean, ultimately this is not a big deal for him. He's only 24 years old, and if your knees haven't like totally given out or your hips haven't given out, like I mean, people can run up until they're pretty old, like you know what I mean, like obviously not everybody, but you know, again, if your knees or your hips and stuff like that aren't destroyed, like this dude could run marathons up through his 70s, if 80s, you know, maybe not that late, but he can do this for a long time. And if this dude won by 17 seconds, um his future's bright with this. So that's unfortunate, but at the same time, shit happens. I guess you can't really blame the institution for trying to maintain their legitimacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, um, but let's see. Uh, 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 uh. Let's see. Largest study of its kind to investigate why Black women are more likely to die from most types of cancer. My guess is that it's just because they're Black and people don't care. I mean, that's ultimately what it's gonna boil down to.
11 years ago, at age 32, Sherry White noticed something unusual.
One day I just touched my chest and it was actually like right here and I felt a lump.
She immediately went to the doctor.
You do have to pay attention to yourself and never write things off as this, oh, it's nothing, it'll go away.
Who diagnosed Sherry with a fast-growing type of breast cancer.
So I was pretty much planning to die, getting things together for my children.
But she didn't die. Sherry quickly pursued the best treatment available and trusted Jesus.
And without that, you can't do anything. Without God, you can't do anything.
Sherry also credits God for prompting her to start the support group, My Sister's Keeper, so more Black women could be in a better position to experience a successful outcome like hers.
He used this ordeal that was very traumatic to help me to create an organization that will help other women get through cancer.
Overall, cancer death rates have fallen by a whopping 1/3 since the early 1990s. But when it comes to breast cancer, there's a huge racial gap. Black women are 40% more likely to die from the disease than white women. Doctors say there are lots of reasons for this disparity. One is that Black women are more likely to have the type of breast cancer with a lower survival rate due to genetics, lifestyle, or both.
African American women have a much higher rate of what's called triple negative breast cancer, which is a more aggressive form of breast cancer. African Americans tend to get this 2 to 3 times at a 2 to 3 times higher rate than they do in their white counterparts.
Stress.
This may explain why when Black women receive a breast cancer diagnosis, it's 10% more likely to have metastasized or spread beyond the breast compared with white women. That, plus the fact that breast cancer strikes more Black women at younger ages, many doctors recommend mammograms early and more often.
So therefore, screening, particularly starting screening at least at the age of 40, I think is extremely important. They should do it annually, and that should be true of all Black women.
If a mammogram shows something abnormal, follow-up tests are needed to determine whether it's cancer. Statistics show Black women experience longer wait times for those tests and also the necessary treatment if cancer is found. In addition, fewer Black women receive the type of treatment they need, such as surgery, radiation, and hormone treatments. Dr. Lisa Richardson, the CDC's Director of Cancer Prevention, tells CBN News Black women have fewer social and economic resources, including suboptimal access to medical care that leads to poorer outcomes, including death. Richardson says the center's goal is to increase the number of women receiving cancer screening tests, as well as good quality follow-up after abnormal results. As part of that goal, a CDC program helps women with lower incomes and no insurance get access to these services. Meanwhile, organizations like My Sister's Keeper try to educate and empower women of color.
We have big sisters and we have little sisters. So our big sisters are women who actually went through cancer treatment, been there, done it. And our little sisters are the ones who's recently diagnosed. So our big sisters help to be that coach, if you will.
So while Black women are far more likely to die from breast cancer than others, it doesn't have to be that way. By raising awareness among communities of color and within the medical system, more can survive, like Sherry.
At the end of the day, you will have an amazing story to tell about your accomplishments of an overcoming cancer.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Yeah, not just numbers for the Black community for all kinds of things aren't always accurate, because people aren't necessarily opting in to get tested for things, like take surveys for stuff. So like, it's not only just about money, but just general societal disinterest, which boils back to money and status within the system. Okay, this is the most British shit ever that we about to look at. The like, what in the hell kind of gossip is this? Oh, Princess Beatrice allegedly overheard Meghan tell Prince Harry that Princess Diana spoke to her during yoga. Like, oh, like this is the most high class British gossip column tabloids ever. Like that, man, they really still be taking this shit seriously, man. These people are celebrities. I think maybe the print, because I don't know what year it is that she died, but I think after Princess Diana, like the general, like people stopped caring as much about royalty. It's just not what it was. The further we get away from royalty actually having as much control over the state as they used to, the more it's just like, oh, you guys are just rich people. Like you don't, you know what I mean? But it's just funny. This is the most British shit ever. Okay. So now we gonna check out a couple of dating stories from Chip Chick. Oh, definitely good for pointing that out. Absolutely. People Black women just aren't taking it seriously for things. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. That's very true. All right, let's see what's up. Now we gonna check we gonna check out a couple of dating stories from Chip Chick. She refused to foot a $300 dinner bill on a date with a guy who ordered $220 worth of stuff and even offered to pay beforehand, and he freaked out on her. That's a pretty expensive dinner. I have I there's only been a few times where I've spent that much money in a restaurant because it's really not like you don't really have to. You know what I'm saying? Like I think the last time I spent 300 something dollars at this steakhouse, but that was a few years ago and it was good food, but like it was like it's not necessary to spend this much money. Ah, okay. So okay, they're really young. Okay, okay. That's always good when you see it's like, oh, they're really young. So at least then it's like, well, at least it's appropriate for them to do these kinds of things. While this 21-year-old woman was recently swiping on Tinder, she came across a very sweet and cute 23-year-old guy. So they got to talking and they really hit it off. I thought he was the cutest, and I absolutely loved his personality, she said. During their early conversations, she also found out that he attended a nearby college. That's why they made some plans to meet up and go out to eat at a local restaurant. Now, to be clear, she doesn't have any problem paying for her own meals on dates. However, when they discussed the date before it happened, the guy actually offered to pay for her. She even I mean, usually I pay for dates, like, if especially if I'm asking if it's earlier on, like, I mean, like, that's typically just kinda what you do. Again, $300 worth of food is a lot, but especially earlier on, like, that's kinda what you do, like, you pay for the dates for the lady, for her, going out with you and giving her time up and shit like that. It's just, you don't really need to discuss it, especially when it's like earlier on. If you ask a woman out, then you should just pay for it. Now, after y'all have talked a bit and dated a little bit, like, most women will just pay for stuff. If a woman never pays for anything, that's not a good sign. Because usually a woman will pay for stuff because women make money. You know what I mean? Like, women have money, so, like, it's not it doesn't really matter. Mm, all right. But yeah, nah, I'm not like, if you asking a woman out, like, especially earlier on, like, I think you're kind of a goofball if you think that she should pay for it. Like, just, play the game a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta play the game some. You can be fair, but you know, she says, I was having a really great time and I thought he was too. Well, that was until the check arrived and it was a whopping $300. She could not afford to have paid that either, especially because the guy ordered $220 worth of the food listed on the bill. So he bought pretty much everything. Oh, this dude is silly. Oh, he's just goofy. Cause again, it's like you could have just went to a place and spent like $60. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really that big of a deal. Um, Despite that, he still hold on. Did we let me see if we skipped anything important down here. Okay, yeah, no, we didn't. Despite that, he still had the nerve to ask if she would be okay paying for the entire dinner. His reasoning, he just didn't have the money for it right now. Yo, this dude is an asshole. Why would you? I mean, even if you like, let's take like her completely out of the picture. Let's say that um I don't like why would you go to a restaurant and just order a bunch of food knowing that you don't have the money to pay for it? Like, it's that what an this dude is an asshole. Um okay, so he ordered the $130 steak, numerous appetizers, and alcoholic drinks. He got the prime rib, the creme de la creme on the menu. So she tried telling him that she simply couldn't afford to pay the full $300 and tried to compromise by saying she'd just pay for her own meal, which cost $80. But he didn't understand that and actually freaked out on her. Oh, yeah, this dude is not, yeah, nah. He told her that she was selfish. You're selfish because you won't cough up money, $300. Then you still got to tip him too. Well, hopefully this young man grows out of this. But this is a bit ridiculous for sure. Now, yeah, no, this guy is he did not have the right plan. Now, this is when you let you know when now it's okay when you kind of when you show some of your cards if it's not really that big of a deal, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes people just don't need to know things, and this is a good example of something that you don't need to reveal this to people. Now if you're gonna do this, do your thing, especially again like when you're first meeting somebody, you're going on a first date, it's really early on, you're just talking to them. I mean, it's just the beginning, you know what I mean? But I just don't see the point. Maybe she was trying to play some type of psychology game where she was like, "I'm gonna make him feel like I got all the options, and he's gonna have to work harder." But even if you flip the script and you were out on a date with a woman and you were like, "Oh, by the way, as soon as this is over, I'm gonna go hang out with another girl," they'd be like, they'd be like, "Hey, now." I don't I'm not really feeling this. He decided to stop seeing a woman after she mentioned she was going on another date with the guy right after their date. This 28-year-old guy recently met a 26-year-old woman on a dating app. And after they got to talking, they both agreed to grab some drinks as their first date. That's a pretty good first date. I would recommend that. You know, I mean, obviously not everybody drinks. There's other things that you can do, but grabbing drinks with somebody is a good way to just meet them real quick. Like, maybe you have other plans later that night, so you're like, we're gonna go grab some drinks real quick, get a feel for each other, and then we'll be on our way. That's a pretty good way to do it. Apparently, she asked him to meet up at 6:30, which he thought was a bit early, but he was fine with it. I know people have to work or maybe aren't big drinkers, he said. Still, he thought the date went well and he realized that they both had a lot in common. They had similar upbringings as children and they even had some mutual friends from college. So while chatting with her, he thought he would be open to going on a second date. But then, all about 7:45 p.m., the woman randomly was in a rush and claimed she needed to leave. She also revealed that she had to get to another date, which was supposed to start at 8 p.m. She told him about the other first date very nonchalantly, too, before saying that she would also love to see him again. Afterwards, she just paid her tab and left. I think this is really weird, he admitted. It sends the message she wasn't really committed to getting to know me and giving our date a fair chance if I'm just an appointment between two other dates or whatever. She was like, "You on the clock right now. I got clients for everybody." She like, "You just one of my clients today." She don't care. She got too much going on. She don't care. It don't matter. It helps her when she loses people off the roster because that just makes it easier for her to navigate through her life. You can't have all the hoes. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do that. You can never have all the hoes. You can try, but it's not gonna work. Now, the woman never actually responded to him, which he thought was fair, but some of his friends have since begun calling him a jerk. They're claiming that since he met the woman on a dating app, it was obvious that they both be dating and talking to other people. That's why his friends believe the woman had no reason to hide the fact that she was going on a different date. I mean, she didn't have to say that. It's still stupid. Like, there's no point in saying that. Like, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, sure, she could have said it. Why did they think he was an asshole, though? Did we skip something? Why did they say he was an asshole? Okay, he texted her and said he didn't think things were gonna work out. You didn't need to text her that. You didn't need to say that because again, you just went on one date with her. It doesn't matter. But she didn't need to say that because okay. There's really nothing else to say. There's really nothing else to say. Like she's not like it's not like she's a terrible person for saying it. It just could have gone unsaid. It just didn't really need to be said. And he didn't need to text her because, like you just went out with her one time. So, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But there you have it. But yeah, no, it was weird. It was just like, okay, because again, it's unnecessary. That's like that Myron Gaines, that fresh and fit shit. Like when you go over to a girl's house and she doesn't want to put out, go into the other room and call another girl and let her hear you. Like, no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna translate into her desiring you more. But yes, look, we're gonna be back on stream a little bit later. I'm going to get ready for that, and we're gonna talk about King George III this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you everybody for joining me for this afternoon stream, and I hope to see you later. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the day.